Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast.
Here we go. My name is Sean Hardy, and I shall be our Dungeon Master for this podcast, and I would like to personally welcome you to the Kingdom of Aelith. Many years ago, on the continent of Aelith, the tribes of man, families and groupings of humans, halflings, elves, tieflings, and in other small numbers, different peoples, established towns, homesteads, and walled cities. The tribes fought constantly. They fought for control, for importance, and most importantly, for space, as those who had nowhere to grow had no chance of advancing their tribe. Sharing the continent with them were the Druids of the Grove, people who chose to live away from society and lead a life in unison with the earth. The Druids took in anyone who wished to live a more peaceful life and had long ago formed a relationship with nature spirits from the Fey realm who taught them how to wield druid magic, and for those who magic did not come easily, to tend to the earth in a manner that both preserved the land and increased the yield of the crops. After centuries of both parties living in tandem, trading with each other, sharing technology and lessons learned, and having families formed of marriages of both parties, slowly the tribes grew too big and tensions began to rise. The most egregious example came when the tribe started to claim the Druids' bread fields as their own, to be torn up and used for housing and development, expensing the land to expand their influence. When the Druids' pleas of letting the land alone fell on unwavering ears, they decided to remind the tribes how important the area was to the growth of the humans. They cast a plague upon the crops of the land, felling all of them, and at the same time grew the forest to envelop the bread fields, making them inaccessible to anyone except the Druids. Panicked at where their food would come from and how they would live, the tribes temporarily united and declared war on the Druids. This led to the Great Withering, a civil war lasting 135 years. With both sides aware that they were destined for mutually assured destruction, a young noble, Wyndham Cloudvale, successfully brokered peace talks on both sides. An alliance was formed, resulting in the Church of Everlasting Peace, a church formed honoring no god nor deity, but the idea of peace eternal under the newly established kingdom. While there are many champions and stories that can be told of this time, our story begins 60 years later. Wyndham Cloudvale and his wife Rhea have been crowned monarchs and rule from the thrones in Pei Ternal, at the base of the Guardian Mountains. Their son, Prince Dion, first paladin of the church, has been appointed Archduke of Solana, the southern capital where he works with the denizens of the town to make it a thriving metropolis of art and trade. Many towns were erased from the map and are now being rebuilt, with restoration of land and village being overseen by Archdruid An, High Cleric of Peace Tig, and several visitors from the Fey realm. Tribe leaders have maintained their titles and are now regarded as nobles. And life has slowly crawled back to normalcy as the scars left on the world become softer and are talked about less and less with a new generation rising. But scars are never gone, and everyone lives in the shadow of war, whether they care to admit it or not. Before we go on, I'd like to introduce the other voices to this podcast with me. So I think, Kate, you're first. Go ahead and take it away.
Hi, my name is Kate, and my fun fact that I decided is that I am currently living out in Denver.
Good morning. This is Dan, and my fun fact is that I am also living out in Denver with Kate.
I'm Julie, and my fun fact is that I can wiggle my ears.
Ooh, that's a good fun fact.
Cool. Well, we have Kate and Dan in Denver and Julie wiggling her ears. So we just had a giant lore dump. I'm about to give you a little bit more, and then we'll go right into our adventure. And this one's actually about what matters, not about the history of things that we might not know. This is for our characters and for our players alike and our listeners. Our adventure begins in the seaside town of Tiderise, at the southernmost point of Aelith, situated right on the ocean with a crack of seawater jutting into the town itself. Tideside is a cold land and has a distinct taste of salt in the air, but the cold is lessened during the day from the bodies of workers, tradesmen, and sailors toiling away to keep the trade networks running between Aelith and their nearest ally to the south, the Empire of Hibernia. A small but bustling village, Tideside is not a town many people call home. Is it a town for sailors to dock, for workers to rest, and for the courier networks to flourish? Tideside is proud to host one of the largest branches of the country's courier service, Tideside Couriers. A popular spot for everyone is the Low Tide Tavern, named as such for every sailor and trader in town can be found here when the tide is low and there's nowhere to go. On a night much like this, our adventure begins. Inside, low tide, there's a fire heating the building for the day when the customers are manning the ships, docks, and jobs. Many tables line the floor, waiting to bear the weight of patrons and their meals. The walls are adorned with trophies of seaside catches, portraits of people important to Tideside, and sconces that light the tavern well into the night. A small stage is set in the corner, currently unoccupied, save for a sign advertising Fragena as tonight's bard of choice. Staff toil away, some in the kitchen preparing the menu for tonight, some making rooms, and behind the bar we see a bartender preparing for their shift. Dan, why don't you go ahead and introduce your character?
Good evening. My character is Cass. I am a tall, olive-skinned human, standing around 5'10", 5'11". Long, straggly, dark brown hair pulled back into a bun. His body's covered in just shallow scars on his arms, legs, and most visible regions. And he has been working in the tavern as a bar hand for the past year or so.
Yeah, I'd say you're working there for a year, it'll be about another 30 minutes before anyone else really starts coming in with the shift setting up. The shifts are ending. What would you be doing to ready the bar for the night, knowing what you know about the history of the town and people coming into it?
Normal day-to-day operations prior to opening would include just cleaning the tables and bars, making sure that all the mugs and cups are ready for the excessive amount of ale and beer that will be consumed throughout the night, and making sure that any quote-unquote messes from the night before are cleaned up, whether that's from a brawl or from someone having one too many.
I'd say you're doing your general session prep, your general cleaning up for the house, your general making sure everything runs well. Probably check in with the half-orc Dusty who owns the tavern and make sure that anything is planned, any orders need to be supplied. And probably comment on the fact that your bard for the evening has not yet arrived when about 10 minutes before opening, a little halfling woman runs into the tavern. Julie, why don't you go ahead and introduce your character? You see your character entering into the Low Tide Tavern.
You'll notice Fragena as a olive-skinned halfling. She's carrying her lute and has some panpipes tucked away. She runs in and heads over to the corner to start getting set up. As she's walking over, you'll see her nod her head to a few ladies in the tavern, and then she goes ahead and has a seat and begins preparing her session.
Nice. And what kind of supplies, what would Virginia be bringing for her show?
She would be setting down her little travel pack, and she will be setting up her pan flute and her lute, and she has a few cards set for some tricks.
Very nice. Cass, you would notice, especially with the fact that Frau Jenna arrived so late, that they match the description of someone that you're supposed to be meeting up with in the morning for your courier response that you've signed up for tomorrow. And I don't know what it instills in Cass to see their travel companion arriving late to their first job. But Fragena does come in and sets up for their one-night show. And now we'll just kind of let time pass a bit, as the last member of our party has no need to be at the tavern this early and can arrive whenever they'd like. We'll say about 2 hours have come in, meals have been given, patrons have their drinks, and then we see a little fairy woman just kind of burst through the front door. Kate, would you like to describe your character?
Nori Waterfoot is a little tiny fairy, and she has very wide wings that are sparkled with specks of white, silver, and blue. However, her dress itself, or what she's wearing rather, more kind of looks like a typical traveler's wear. So that more comes in with it just kind of being rustic and worn, and she's wearing a backpack, and she's just kind of floating by, trying to remain as naturally unseen as possible, though given her circumstances of the world, fairly certain that people would probably bat an eye at least a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, we'll say, I'm sure enough patrons look up at this to see the doors open. They're expecting someone, especially with not to get too far ahead, but your strength just like shoving those doors open to look over and just seeing a little like 2-foot tall fairy standing there, hovering slightly off the ground. A scene that anyone would see. Cass and Frogena, what are your responses to seeing Nori?
Cass just generally looks up from his duties, sort of slammed with customers at the moment, wanting food and ale. Sort of sees the small, eccentric creature come through the doors and honestly isn't surprised. The amount of different beings that come through just sort of has lost its wonder to Cass in his years being here. So he's not fazed by it, just sort of makes note of it and continues his work.
And yeah, Frog, before we get to you, some of the other creatures that are in the tavern that Cass described are a whole mix of people. You have basic humans, you have tieflings of multiple different colors. There's 1 or 2 half-orcs, though. After the war, they're not the most common. Dusty, the owner of the tavern, being one of the ones who's known in these parts. There are lots of halflings, there are lots of elves, but more half-elves than full high elves. The high elves don't really engage in tavern society in the way that most other people would. And it would also be important to note here that everyone in the tavern is not from Aelith, because you are right across from the Hibernia Strait. There are a couple people who you can tell are from overseas, visiting from their cargo ships or things. Yeah. And then Frog, go ahead and let me know how your show's going.
Frog looks up abruptly when she hears the fairy enter. She takes a moment to take her and looks at her and then goes, not my type, and returns to her act.
Nice. Okay, go ahead and roll me a sleight of hand check to see how your act is going.
19.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good. Like, for someone who has spent a couple years training in sleight of hand magic and performance art, like, you're not a bard in the traditional sense of like, look everyone, I've got my instrument, although you do have some magic instruments on you. But I think you're drawing a small crowd of people that are giving you nice tips with how quickly you're able to be like, oh, I bet you if you can find the cup with a ball underneath it, I'll give you 2 gold. But if you can't find it, you each owe me 1 gold. And just your nice little unassuming manner is very quickly earning you a following here in the tavern. What's everyone else up to?
Well, I think I should go next because I just walked in. I am famished after traveling, I'll just say a full days of travel. So I'm just looking to get some food, and I'll head over to the bar and see if I can get the barkeep to give me some food. All right, excuse me. Pardon me.
Cass just looks up, trying to figure out where the voice is coming from. Sees the little creature that came in earlier, and is like, yeah? What do you need?
What do you have on the menu for this evening, if there even is a menu?
Well, for someone your size, I could find some scraps, perhaps. Is there something you would prefer to eat? I'm not super familiar with your kind here.
Well, you could be surprised in my tiny body. I can actually eat a lot. So, whatever you suggest on the menu, but probably just one thing.
Do you eat meat?
Yes, I eat meat.
Okay, maybe just a wolf steak would probably be a good starting point.
That would be great. And then just whatever you have on tap, if you wouldn't mind getting that for me, that would be pleasurable.
You sure you want a full thing of ale?
Well, yeah, if I just don't drink it, you still get the money, so it doesn't matter regardless.
All right. I'll go get it for you. What was your name?
Oh, my name's Nori. It's nice to meet you. What's your name?
Cass. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
And I think you would both notice as you give each other's name, you are also going to be traveling together tomorrow on your package delivery. So unintentionally or intentionally, you've managed to find 2 of your companions. And Cass, I don't know if you would point Nori to Frogena or not, but you would know that they were the 3 names given to you by the Courier Society.
As I'm walking away, I'll just sort of make note of that in my head and remember to bring it up as we come back with her somewhat excessive amount of food for her small stature.
So a way I would know when walking up to the bar or flying, I suppose, what is the bar situation like at that point, so to speak, at the actual bar? Sorry.
Like how many patrons are at it or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So about this time of day, you came in about 2 hours after opening. Most people have their meals already. Most people are sitting. It's more like people that are either there because they know that staff will be looked for near the bar. So it's like people that are waiting either to hand out rooms or people that are maybe trying to find someone to take to a room with them. There isn't much left in terms of people who need service at the bar itself. There's just kind of people mingling around. Is there anything you're looking for?
Just to kind of notice the characters in the bar, aside from what you've already described, more like if anyone's looking shifty or shady or just trying to be aware of my surroundings as a very tiny being.
Yes. And to clarify, you are about 2 feet tall.
Thanks.
Like,
See, yeah, that's the part I didn't realize. But still, being only like 2 feet tall, I'm still relatively small.
Go to make me a perception check.
Yeah, I can totally do that. Perfect. Wait. Yeah, I can totally do that.
This is when Kate remembers how to roll.
Well, yeah, it's also that making sure I put my modifier. Wow, that was really perceptive. 7.
Yeah, with a 7, you look around and like flying, you can get around to head level, but you can't fly always. You got to take some breaks for your wings. So you're just kind of standing on the ground, looking at knees. Not much is standing out to you. You'd feel pretty confident anyway, because like this town is meant for like traders and merchants and like the working people. It's not really somewhere that you'd expect to be attacked or assaulted in any way. It's really just like it's a spot for work, and these are people hanging out after work. So even though you don't see anything, you can feel pretty comfortable.
Okay. And then would I be able to also spot out any places to sit, whether that's at the bar or in the rest of the tavern once I get my food? Because I would really like to watch the bard perform.
Yeah, you can sit anywhere really. There's lots of open seating. It's not like a small tables. It's rows of like kind of like a European ale house roll.
Perfect. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I think there's also probably not a lot of seats over by the bard performing, but you could also like maybe fly up to a chandelier or to a mantle and be a little out of place, but watch it from there if you so chose, or you could sit like a regular member of society at the bar and see a pretty good view.
Okay, perfect. I'll wait for my food. Thank you.
Yep. Cool. Anything anyone else wants to do? Nice. Okay, then we will move time along. The night comes to an end. For Jenna, you probably make about 2 gold total on just tips and donations, on top of your like 2 gold payment from the house itself. So pretty good net for you. I don't know if it's one of your best ones ever, but a pretty good net worth. And as you kind of see everyone trailing out, there are staff left that are taking people to rooms. There are people that are going back to their houses or to their ships. There are 2 people just kind of like left mingling around, and it is both Cass and Nori who are still like spending the time around because they both know they're supposed to meet up here the night before, similar to your letter from the courier office for your job tomorrow.
Frog will pack up her things and head over to the bar and ask Cass if he is going to be working tomorrow on a project.
Yes, actually, I have a courier package that I'm supposed to be helping out with, and I believe our other person is this small little fun creature right here who ate a whole wolf steak in about 5 minutes.
And I might say, it was very delicious. Also, I am slightly offended that you didn't tell me earlier that I'm also the one on the list. Sorry, it's been a long travel day, so sometimes my brain doesn't always work very properly.
Jenna will reach out her hand towards Nori and gesture to give a kiss on the hand and say, "Pleased to meet you."
Well, it's pleased to meet you as well. Well, I'm pleased to meet you as well. That's what I meant to say.
Nice. After your like little brief introductions and Cass, Dusty seeing you talk to the 2 of them, he walks over and gives you all the key to the room set aside by the courier's office. So you would all have, probably believe that, Cass, you have a room here anyway. But for Nori and for Jenna, you would have rooms paid for by you for the courier's thing. And in your rooms, you would see once again the notice from the courier posted, just kind of reminding you what you're doing. And it reads, "Notice from the courier. Attention all willing and able to work. The Tideside Courier Office has been asked to contract the delivery of one package to be picked up from a Hibernian merchant trading vessel at the Tiderise docks at dawn and delivered to Dali O'Toole, captain of the Dali O'Toole and Boatswain's Bounty. The package must be arrived undamaged and unopened. Payment of 5 gold piece will be awarded to each member of the party contracted to deliver upon successful delivery. Inquiries may be made at the Tideside Courier's office up until the night before the package is received."
Would there be any reason for us to talk like the night before about like a game plan, or would there like be enough time in the morning, since we know it's about a day's trip, for us to like talk about anything we would need to? Okay.
Yeah. You have time on both fronts. Since the package is to be expected at dawn, you would probably want to make the most of your time tonight, especially if any of you are not early risers. But you would have time in the morning if you wanted to. Either way.
Okay.
Well, seeing as how you seem to be new here, and Jenna, apologies, you seem to be more familiar. I don't really know much about either of you, and I'd prefer to know my party prior to departure tomorrow. So you're more than welcome to come to my room, but I would like to just get a small game plan in order for us tomorrow, since we are going to be leaving what seems like relatively early.
Okay, that sounds good to me. It's probably better to have a game plan anyway, especially since we're all strangers.
Understood. As we leave, I'm going to, Frog, are you good with this as well?
Yes.
Okay. As we leave, I'm going to look to Dusty, and since Nori did not seem to pay for her meal, I'm going to just tell Dusty to take it off my pay for the night, and we're going to make our way upstairs.
Nori would have totally paid for the meal if Cass would have told her how much it was. Also, we didn't talk about where she was sitting, so she definitely would have. Thank you very much.
It's not a big deal. As we make our way upstairs, or sorry, Sean, you can continue with this.
So you all go upstairs. The rooms are like, Cass, your room would probably be the most ornamented, the most ordained in any way, because you've been here longest, so it probably has like little trinkets that you've picked up, or like if there's been anyone you've connected with at the bar that's like left you a memento of them, you might have something about that in there. For the other two of you, they're not bad rooms by any way, but they are kind of like, you can tell they're being expensed. They're not going to be paying for the top room of the night because you're staying there for maybe 8 hours, so the courier is not going to be giving all of the money to you. But they're fine. They have a chest at the end of the bed, they have a wardrobe, they have a bed that's a decent comfortability and size, but other than that, they're pretty bare.
We are going to pick up the package tomorrow morning, correct? Okay.
Yep, you guys will be getting it from the docks at dawn.
And do we have the knowledge of knowing we're the only 3 that have accepted this?
Mm-hmm.
So then I guess once I put my bag of things down, I'll just head over to Cass's room and go. Sorry, I was just gonna knock.
Hearing the knocks coming from just below the floor level, I'll be like, you can come in.
And then the door will slam open again, kind of how like it did in the initial part of the tavern, and I'll say, "Oh, sorry, sometimes I forget just, what my size can do."
Just gonna whip my head around to my door being viciously slammed open, and look back at her and be like, can we just try to tone it down? There are other guests here.
I'm sorry. Sometimes my strength just comes out after a very long day of travel. You never know. Maybe we'll find some use for it tomorrow. Hopefully not. I really don't want to encounter anything, though. So I guess we'll see.
Fair enough. Let's just,
Well, we gotta wait for Frog.
I know. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, well, sometimes you're just a little slow to it. Seems like the same thing.
Oh,
And there comes out the infighting of people who live together. Anyway, Frog.
Frog will drop her things in her room and make her way over to Cass's room. She doesn't bother to knock. She just waltzes right in, lays down on the bed, and kicks her feet up.
This is one delivery. This is fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Cass, are you saying that underneath your breath, or are you saying that audibly for us to hear?
Underneath my breath.
Cool. Make a percent. Yeah, make it. Make that perception.
Okay, let me just make sure. Come on, money. Woo! All right, I rolled a 19.
Nice. Yeah, I guess, Cass, if you want to try and hide it, you can make a stealth check, or if it's the one of those just like under the breaths that people are meant to
I
hear.
wasn't trying that hard to hide it.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
you definitely
Well,
hear it.
I won't. Not gonna say anything, but I'm just gonna note that for my own self.
All right. Well, now that everyone's here, welcome. Noticing that it's still sort of dark in the room, I would assume since we're a little bit higher up, there's a window somewhere in my room, correct?
Yeah.
I usually put my candle there for the room. I'm going to just try to measly cast Eldritch Blast, just hard enough with the window open to light it, but not having control over my power. It's just going to be full force straight out the window. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not trying to startle anyone, but it's just going to be a full blast out the window accidentally.
Yeah, and what does your Eldritch Blast look
It's
like? when you cast it?
just like a beam of like cackling bluish greenish energy that would it will light stuff up, but as you now are aware, I am not very good about controlling it quite yet.
Yeah, so you just see like a candle attempting to be lit, and instead, just straight out of an open window, something crackles in the air. A pedestrian screams on the ground. You get a feeling that this may not be like an uncommon occurrence, but for how many people are going in and out of town on a daily basis, there aren't a lot of people that are getting used to it happening. So each time it's a new surprise for whoever witnesses the sky explode above them, but no one's
Okay,
hurt.
so I would just like to say, based on this current experience, you have no right to tell me that I need to tone it down with me, like, opening the door, because that was... Why? Why? I mean, we could always ask one another, like, oh, do you have something? Because I'm fairly certain I do. What, does the room look like in terms of, like, litness? Can we see within the room? Can we not?
I mean, yeah, you can see like there's enough candlelight in the hallway, especially like you kicked open the door. There's like candlelight coming up through the floorboards. The place isn't too well made. And like, yeah, there's probably like a few like little things going around. But if you all had just gotten up there, that candle would be the main source of light for the room. So if anyone wanted to use matches to light it, or magic to light it, or continue trying to hit it with magic until it lights itself, all things available to you. But like the room is the equivalent of dimly lit, and the candle would
Well,
give you
I'll
more
take
light.
out one of my candles that I have, and I'll just light it on a match, and I'll put it back on the windowsill, and I will say, I need this back later. So Cass, if you could like not destroy it, that would be great. And I'm just gonna go thunk. Make sure there was an audible like thud. I guess, and then continue the conversation of we both know, or I guess we all know that tomorrow is going to be a long travel day. Is there anything we want to try and plan? Do we feel like we're gonna need stops? If we encounter any danger, you know, maybe we should kind of go over that so that way we all get our gold and can meander our ways back to where we came from.
Yeah, and while Nori asked that, I think Frog, you came in, laid on someone's bed, and then watched chaos. What are the thoughts going through your head as you, an agent of chaos yourself, just invaded Cass's most intimate personal space, but then just watched that you have two agents of chaos in the room with you?
Frog's pretty happy about it. She's just laying there chill. She does think that it would have been easier just to use matches in the first place. But I mean, to each their own. So she's chill, and she thinks that they don't really need a plan for tomorrow, so she's just kind of here for the vibes.
Does she express that to her companions or just keep it in her head?
She just keeps that in her head.
So then maybe, can we say like an awkward moment of silence goes across the room after I talk about it?
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty right. When you ask, anyone got a plan, and everyone just kind of looks at each other. Seems like there's no
Okay,
plan.
yeah, I'm gonna take this 5, and I'm gonna grab my candle, and I'm gonna say, I will see you guys at dawn. Okay, I will see you guys at dawn, because I'm gonna go get my rest. It was lovely meeting you both, and I'm gonna fly away.
Frog will get up and just stare at Cass for a moment and then walk out the door.
Cass just gonna be sitting there, still dumbfounded, not sure exactly what just happened, but just still pleased that Nori didn't slam the door on her way out.
Yeah, and I think Cassie would probably just go ahead and close the door in a gentle and appropriate manner to all other residents of the tavern and the inn, and not in a way that breaks the sound barrier. And probably all of you can take a long rest, go back to your rooms, to your nightly rituals. Is there anything anyone does before going to bed that they want to get out?
Again, for my safety, since part of my journey outward from the Fey Circle and around Shannon River is making a better conclusion or drawing a better conclusion on humans. And for my own safety, can I do detect magic prior to the long rest?
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to do that, and then I would also like to take out my holy symbol that I have, which is a silver pine cone based on someone's recommendations. Okay. And I will maybe say a prayer to Titania. Okay. Yeah, so I'd like to do both of those things and not like expecting anything from to hear back, but that's just like, aside from detect magic, saying like a little prayer with my holy symbol is something I'll do every night.
Yeah, the detect magic pings off the whole room pretty clear. There's nothing out of the ordinary in this room.
Okay.
Anything for Cass or Frog before we spend the night and move into the morning?
Before going to bed, Frog always sits down to write a letter to her younger siblings. She has a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old brother and sister that she will write a letter to every single night, and then she sends them off
Cass
in the morning.
Get in bed, be preparing to sleep, and we'll summon Quizzle to his side for a little bit and pet him for a little bit, and then prior to going to sleep, we'll send Quizzle to the roof and just switch vision with him just to see if anything is going on in town for about 5 minutes or so before going to bed.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about Quizzle. What's a Quizzle?
So Quizzle is a summoned squirrel from my childhood upon gaining my powers from being a warlock. You okay there, Nori?
Yeah, it's just the name. It's Quizzle. I didn't realize your squirrel's name was Quizzle.
Yeah, so Quizzle is a squirrel from my childhood that I was able to bring back, and it is bound to one of the rings that I am wearing.
Yeah, so Quizzle, just like with his little like wispy feet, is able to run quickly up the side of the wall onto the roof. And once he's there, you've been with Quizzle your whole life. You can like kind of hear like his little chip sound. That means I'm ready and in place to switch your senses over. And you get a nice view. Like down here, you can see the stars every night. It gets even colder, but you don't feel that through as you're just using the eyes for the sense. You can see pretty much what you're expected to see. The boats coming in, the last of the trade vessels, the ones that are expected to be there in the morning, and the one that you're probably having your package on will be coming across the Hibernia Strait to come rest at the docks inside of Tideside, and it's just a generally quite pretty night, as you've found this place to be for the last year. when it doesn't have the hustle and bustle of business, the town is rather quiet and kind of serene in a way.
And with that, I'll recall him and go to sleep.
The sun will rise, the tide will change, and you all see, well, not see because you hear it, a thud come knocking on the door, which is like the "it's dawn time" knock of the tavern that they send to make sure that everyone is up for breakfast, for if they are not paying for breakfast, they are not fully monopolizing the use of this space. So everyone is woken just before dawn. You all would be able to fit in a quick meal and then probably head over to the docks together. Is there anything you would all do either in the morning or before heading out on your adventure?
Not for Nori.
Cass would just grab breakfast really quick, like you said, make use of everything that's available, and touch base with Dusty one more time, letting him know he'll be gone for potentially a day, 2, potentially 3, and he'll touch base with him when he gets back.
Okay.
And then Frog would go eat breakfast and then drop her letters.
Nice. Yeah, the letter is very easy to find. You're being sponsored by the couriers, like probably the easiest letter delivery you've ever had, because it's, oh, the people paying me money, can you also do your job? Thank you. With that, we'll transition to the docks. The scene here is a little bit different. The docks kind of run through the middle of town, so it's a lot more. We're at the tavern, there was space to move around. There were a lot of people in one spot. This is just where the epicenter of business is happening in this town. There are people moving back and forth. There are people calling things out. It's just a loud cacophony of sound. To all of you, it would probably be a little bit strange to see a very loud and busy looking scene running like clockwork. You can tell that these people know what they're doing. They know who needs to be where. They know who needs to be from which point to which point. And especially for those of you who are not traveled, probably even more impressive by the fact that a lot of these people don't work with each other every day. They're people that are in from port, they're out from port, they're a trader, they're a courier, they're running around. But the system of trade is just so well managed by the Tideside couriers that all of these different forces can come together and still run a perfectly effective machine. And it means it'll be easy for you all to be pointed directly to the ship you're trying to pick up the package from. So a courier representative named Marty comes and grabs you all when you walk up. It's not hard to see the people he was described to, and also the 3 people who are standing a little bit in the way, because no matter how much you're trying not to be in the way, if you're in this area, you're in the way unless you're part of the system. And so he comes and grabs you and pulls you out to a large ship that is just labeled as Hypernia Trade. And then a man steps off and says, "Papers, please. What are you here to receive?"
I will quickly take out our notice that we received, or at least my notice, and hand it to him and tell him what we are here to do.
Yeah, he looks at it and he scrolls down. He sees the official seal and he's like, "Ah, yes, a pickup for Dolly O'Toole of the Dolly O'Toole. I believe we have that for you. Give us a moment." And this man walks into the ship. He's just a human man, nothing too exciting about him, but you can tell that he's like the front face of this ship. And he goes in and comes out about a minute later with a small package, no bigger than a deck of cards. And it's wrapped up very tightly. It's like creased with the paper, and you are handed it, and he reminds you, as you see here on the post, it says in order to be paid, it must arrive undamaged and unopened. We have many tradings with Miss O'Toole, and she will hold you by that. So I imagine you would want to keep it as crisp and clean as we packaged it for you. If you have any questions for delivery or receipt, please direct yourself to my companion, or you are free to go.
I'll look at it. Is he talking to all 3 of us, or is he talking to me?
Pretty much you, because you've presented yourself as like the one talking.
I'll look at Cass and I'll look at Frog and look for reactions. So what are your reactions to what he said?
I mean, he's a ship hand. Did you want him to be your friend?
This was like I'm not asking the question. I'm trying to perceive. Jeez. I'm just kidding. If I don't see any like initial reactions like oh, I have a question, I'm just going to take it and I'm going to walk away.
Nice. Yeah, you take it, walk away with the other two, and like immediately someone else fills your spot. Someone else there to pick up a package. You moved seamlessly through. When you're about far enough out that it wouldn't interrupt space, just stop. The three of you can stop and look at the package together. As I said, it's about the size of a deck of cards, both in height and width. It weighs a lot more, but you wouldn't be able to really tell what's inside yet unless you wanted to try and figure it out. And it is very tightly creased and sealed to the point that like any sort of, oh, let me just kind of like open it and see and I can try and seal it back up would be noticeable. You know both by the man telling you and the payment for this that this package is for someone that's important and someone that you probably don't want to get on the wrong side of. But yeah, if you all want to do anything with the package, you're free to. Otherwise, I believe, Nori, you know the best way to Bosun's Bounty, as it's right past your home.
Totally, I do. And then to the group, I will say, does anyone have any good bag they want to put this in? Does anyone want to hold it? Does anyone want to take ownership of it?
Frog will offer up her little pouch that she keeps her cards in. She'll just take her cards out, put them in her bag, and say, will this work?
I think that looks great. It does feel a little bit heavier than what it looks like, so if you don't mind carrying something that's a little heavy, if that's okay.
Yeah, Frog will gladly take it and put it in her bag.
Perfect. And then, do you guys need to do anything else before we leave?
It sounds like you've made this trip a few times in the past, Nori. How far is this?
It would be about a day.
Well, the only thing I would be concerned about is, it's only a day, but do we have food in case we do get held up? Does everyone have food?
Well, I know that I do. I have 10 days worth of food. So,
and for those of you who stopped at the breakfast bar, you would be able to like take sandwiches and things with you.
Yeah, aside from that, I think I'm ready to go.
Frog, do you need anything?
Frog's ready to go.
Perfect.
Nice. We set out onto the road from Tideside to Bosun's Bounty. The road itself is it's not hard to walk on, but you know that feeling of like walking too close to a beach where the sand and soil haven't fully figured out which one is going to be the ground for. So walking is tiresome. There is a paved trail. It's paved in stone, so it helps support that, but it is still a trek that takes some walking and some work if you're not used to walking on or around sand. The entire time, the ocean is to your side. So for any of you that like water or like looking around, it's a pretty sight. You have a lot of natural things around you. As well as you get closer to Bosun's Bounty, the Shannon River, which you will need to cross. Nori, you would probably know this because you're a little like anxious about people being in areas and things. If anyone were to be aware of this package and anyone were to be trying to take it from you, they would do it at the bridge because that's like the only point where it's like a pinch point. So you would know that would be a spot where people, if there is someone, would try and take it from you or ambush it from you. But otherwise, it's a pretty idyllic scenic walk. Both Cass and Frog, your hometowns are not from around here. So even though Cass, you've been here for a while, what is it like for both of you, like being on the sand, being by the ocean, being in a spot very different from where you grew up, and a spot that doesn't exist up north where it gets more cold and the ocean is more of like icy ocean than un-icy ocean?
Go ahead, Frog.
Frog really thinks that it's beautiful, and probably would be a little bit upset about the sand, though, because it's making it difficult for her to walk, and it's getting everywhere. But other than that, she's very tempted to go dip her toes in the water.
Nice. Tempted enough that you're going to do it?
Not quite.
Okay.
Cass would be sort of neutral to the whole thing, given his hometown's proximity to the coast. He's been there before, but it is sort of nice to him as of the past year to be closer to these large water sources. He feels type of like kindredness with it.
So, have we crossed the river?
Not yet, no.
Well, I think just in this meantime, I would mention that I have delivered a few packages in my lifetime, though it may not seem like it. And I just want to make sure that we're keeping it safe and we're keeping all of ourselves safe, because I don't know how you guys are all in battle, but I mean, I'm fine. I don't necessarily like it, but like it's fine. It can be fun sometimes. Maybe we should not go across the bridge, because if someone's trying to take the package of depending on what it is, they probably would be there. I can just float across the river? Question mark?
Yeah, like what do you mean float across the river?
Yeah, I can fly across the river?
You can fly, but the others can't.
Unless you're planning to create a raft of some kind, you can't just
Okay, well, I
float
wasn't
across
for
the
sure.
river.
Oh, I wouldn't have said that, but depending on how we feel about water, we could just like swim across. That's always a fun time.
Frog is a little bit concerned about her things. She doesn't really particularly want to get her loot wet. And despite her name being Frog, she's not really super fond of water.
Well, that makes sense, Frog. I don't blame you. I think maybe then one of us, or I can take the pouch and bring it across walk across the river with it above my head. Do I know from my own experience next to the river how deep it will be where we get to it?
There are, like, if you wanted to walk and hold it, there are spots, so, like, if you go out of your way and upstream that are shallow enough that someone of your height could, like, walk across it without it being too much of it. You also know that that's not the spot that a bridge would be needed, because bridges go over water that people can't really cross themselves. So down, if you stay on the main path and continue there, it will be too deep for, like, even someone of, like, Cass's height to tread without having difficulty. So up to how you would all want to do it. You could take the plan of cross the bridge. You could go out of your way. Going out of your way would only add about 2 days, not 2 days, God no, 2 hours to your travel. So you might get into Bosun's Bounty a bit late. There was not a time stamp marked on delivery, just a to be delivered.
So it's really depending on how you guys feel about crossing the bridge, as silly as that sounds. If someone's going to take it, I truly think that's where the most danger we could potentially encounter would be. And so I'm fine doing either or, and also Frog, totally understand about not wanting to get your instruments wet. Those are very important.
I will also point out you all don't know what's in the package, so you don't know if it could handle being wet, or if getting it wet can be considered damage, and it does expressly say not damaged.
Just sort of listening to the back and forth from the other party members, Cass is just gonna chime in and be like, so the only concern would be if we go through the water, one, Frog doesn't want to go in the water. We're gonna look at her, very fair. Two, we don't know how the package needs to be handled. I would assume that if I asked for a package to be delivered and it came in slightly soggy, I'd be a little bothered by it. While I do understand your apprehension with the bridge, I do think the bridge may be the best approach, but knowing that you're concerned about it, why don't we just go in prepared for the worst? Not saying we go in swords drawn, everyone ready to punch something, but like just let's be perceptive about what's around us and keep an eye out. But I think with the three of us, we will be fine.
Okay, I think that sounds good. I just wanted to bring it up for everyone's attention. So, I suppose we are just going to continue forward towards the bridge.
Unless, Frog, do you have any objections to this?
Frog thinks this is a great plan and is ready to go.
Frog, as you're walking, as you're just kind of like a quiet person unless you're in front of a crowd, what's like your thought process? What drives you through the day? We've heard a little bit about the other two, but like, what's your life? What are you thinking about as you're making this journey with some strangers when you're kind of a lone wolf of sorts?
Frog is probably just thinking about what she needs to do to make her next gold piece, and will probably just keep to herself most of the time. She doesn't like to share too much about her personal life, but she is thinking about her brother and sister a little bit along the way, that she really is hoping that they're doing okay, and hasn't been able to see them in about a year.
So with that on the mind and the conversation being made as it is, I'd like you all to make me a perception check, please, as you approach the bridge. As you approach the bridge, you'd notice it's about 30 feet in length and made mostly of cobblestone. This is a part of the river that's very wide across, which is why, as Nori pointed out earlier, it's a common pinch point. It's got some shadow cast underneath it, so if there was anyone down below, it would be hard to tell. And it's kind of got a rushing stream beneath it due to the river coming closer together and more water being forced to a singular point. It increases the flow of water beneath it.
12.
Okay.
14.
22.
Cass and Nori, as you approach the bridge, you see a little dog sitting in the middle of it. It's a dog that, it looks weird, but it's not a type of dog you haven't seen before, but it would be weird just to be standing there all by itself. Frog, you see that along with the dog on the bridge, there are 4 people hiding right underneath the bridge, 2 on each side, that are trying to wait for someone to cross to see if they need to come up or not. Anything you'd like to do?
Frog will say, watch out to the other members of the party, and then we'll probably draw her dagger.
Oh, what the hell? I told you guys that. Oh, man. Okay, so
Yeah.
we can totally do what you guys want, but they're also probably just noticed that we're kind of here. So it's up to you.
I'm just gonna. Cass just lets out a sigh and draws out his hand axe and just continues forward with Frog.
Okay. And I'm gonna be. Nori will be behind both of them. If they're walking up 2 by 2, I'll just be
Okay.
walking in the back, trying to be as. I don't think I'm very stealthy, but trying to be as stealthy as possible, hiding between Cass and Frog.
Yeah. Self-check.
Yeah. Hold on. 4.
Cool. So you all are set up, Cass and Frog. You're okay, we know how to cross the bridge. We've heard that there are assailants. We know what we're doing. And just from behind you here, I don't know. I don't think this is a great idea. I'm really not sure. I'm gonna stay back here. And the people have Frog, you catch that their heads have been turned. They're aware someone's about to catch the bridge.
Can I
and
do
they're aware that it's
something,
someone that
or
is
can I
aware
not
of
do
them.
something?
So how about you all roll initiative? I feel like you're anxious enough that you could have done something in prep. So what are you thinking? And I'll let you know if it's wildly not feasible or not.
Can I do guy? Oh wait, no, not that one. There's another one that I can give one creature, including myself, advantage on the next roll if I can touch them. So before going up the bridge, I think I would tap Frog's shoulder. 16.
13.
19.
Okay, cool. So our initiative will go Frog, Nori, Cass, and then a bunch of my friends. So yeah, Frog, you were the most perceptive. You see the 4 people underneath, right by the bridge supports, as well as the dog on the bridge. What would you like to do?
Frog will outstretch her arms and try to firebolt the humans, not the dog.
Okay, cool. Roll me an attack roll. And don't forget to add your spell attack modifier.
22.
Yeah, that hits. You hit that man.
Okay, let's.
Go and roll some damage.
7.
Nice. Yeah, you see I believe this is the first time you've publicly cast magic, Frog. Not in a concealment way, but for the first time someone's seen you do magic at least. Just from the hand of this little halfling, out comes a firebolt and just hits a man. He screams a lot and looks like he got pretty hurt from this little tiny halfling person with you. Nori, what would you like to do?
In response to Frog, I'm gonna be like, "Whoa, that was so cool!" And then wanting to take similar. I am going to do. Yeah, I'm gonna step in front of both of them, just a hair, and then I'm going to attack the one that is next to the one that Nori attacked. I don't want to attack that one specifically. Would like to attack a different one with guiding bolt.
Cool. Well, go ahead and roll me your attack roll.
13.
Nice. That hits as well. Go ahead and roll some damage.
Perfect. On a hit, the target takes 4d6 radiant damage. Okay, and then it also says in the next roll made against the target
Has advantage.
has advantage. Okay.
Nori woke up and chose violence.
4d6. Perfect.
Frog just says, "Oh look, a little bit of pain." Nori goes, "You must die."
All right, so it is going to take 11 points of damage.
Cool. You kill a man. The advantage on the next attack doesn't matter because just tell me what it looks like. Paint me a word picture as Nori steps up and just kills a man.
Okay, it's gonna be a little splash of water, like the perfect droplet of water that you see come out of the ocean, whatever that looks like. So it's going to just shoot out of my finger and it's gonna hit the man. And it's gonna hit him right in the heartstrings because I am very offended that he's trying to, I'm assuming, steal our package internally. And then he's just gonna like fall over and go, ah!
Yeah,
And, oh, sorry.
A man, just like one man under the bridge. I was going to talk on their turn, but this seems like an appropriate time. We'll look over and be like, "Ah, Tim, you got hit by that wizard. You okay?" And the other one goes, "Yeah, no, I think I..." Stops mid-sentence. Can't finish it because their heart, I assume, is hit with radiant energy and just cuts it off. They don't even know they're dying. You wipe a man's soul from existence with such ease, it probably terrifies everyone who knows you.
I would also like to say Nori would react to it in a like a, oh, okay. And then I'm going to try and step back behind Frog and Cass if like they're still in the same general position we were in before. Not to use them as shields, but more as like again a stealth thing to kind of like hide a little bit.
Yep. Cass, what would you like to do? After just watching this little fairy who probably has been annoying to you or like showing off like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I don't know my own strength," shows you the capacity at which they don't know their own strength as just wipes a man from the earth.
Cass just continues forward, just shaking his head, watching what looks to be a small fey child murder a man and then hide behind him after. Knowing that, he's just gonna keep moving forward, swinging his hand axe in hand. How far is the dog from me?
The dog is in the center of the bridge, so it would probably be about like 70 feet from you.
70 feet from me. Okay, give me once.
And then just for the other two on the other side of the river, they'd be 80 feet from where you are currently. So it's like 60, 70, 80.
Okay, so I'm going to move forward another 30 feet,
Okay.
hatchet in hand, and I'm not going to take anything. I'm just going to prepare that if the dog comes within 30 feet of me, I'm going to cast Mage Hand with a thing of rations in my hand to feed the dog to see if it is friendly or if it's going to try to kill us.
I love that. Very nice. Cool. Well, Bandit 2 is dead, so Bandit 2 doesn't get to take their turn. I think he's the one that we named Tim, so Tim is no longer in the initiative. Tim is no longer in this plane of existence. Tim is no longer alive. But the other one, who I don't think we gave a name to, so let's call him Mark, the one that looks quite injured from our little wizard friend, walks up and kind of just like bends out, going around a corner, and tries to fire off a crossbow. And considering that, Frog, you were the one that hit him, he's going to go for you. So he rolls a 13 plus... Does a 16 hit?
Yep.
Cool. So you see, in retaliation to one, hurting him, two, your friend killing his friend, he's going to fire a crossbow bolt at you, and you take 9 points of piercing damage.
Cool.
Ew.
Then, Bandit 3, who is across the bridge, is going to have to take his turn running up from underneath the far side of the bridge and past the dog. He's now at the same lane where the other one is, but he is on top of the bridge. Yep, Nori.
Can we have a name, please?
Yeah, let's name him Carl.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for holding me accountable to naming them. So Mark, Carl, and let's name the fourth one Jeff. Let's just preemptively name him Jeff. Mark is good. Tim is dead. Mark is half good. Tim is dead. Carl's fine. Jeff is fine. But before you see Jeff take his turn, the dog on the bridge does not move. But you all see a dog appear behind you, one that was stealthing under the bridge. And you would know, especially you, Nori, that these are fey creatures known as blink dogs. And they can take part of their turn to move around through teleporting. They're going to appear right behind you and bite you, considering you killed their owner. So, that's not fun. You don't kill dog owners. Kate.
Fair.
Does a 6 hit? I know it doesn't, but does a 6 hit?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Cool. The other dog is going to move forward. Cass, you could assume based off of this that the dog across the bridge is not friendly as it comes near you. So your rations are not wasted, but your mage hand does not succeed in saving the dog as it runs closer. However, it only has a speed of 40, so it cannot get fully within range of any of you. The last bandit, the one that we named Jeff, is going to turn out from the side and is going to fire a crossbow bolt at Nori, because Nori's the murderer. So let's see how they do. Does a 21 hit?
Fudge nuts, yeah.
They hit you for 2 points of damage.
Solid. Okay.
And we are back around in the initiative to Frog. Frog, what would you like to do?
Frog is quite upset that she was hit with the crossbow, so she's going to go after Mark again with Firebolt to try to finish him off the way she started.
Okay.
Does a 22 hit?
Yes, 22 does hit.
Okay. And 6 damage.
Nice. Mark, that's when you hit. Yep, Mark is trying to keep himself up. You can tell that he is not in a good way. Any little bit of damage to him would probably take him out. Okay. Nori, our murderous little fae, what would you like to do?
With being a fae, do I have any, advantage with blink dogs? Could I... That would be a spell. There would be nothing that I could do outside of a spell to the dog to then convince them that we're okay.
You could always try and make an animal handling check, but you are also actively hurting its owner, and you also killed one of its owners. So it would be a pretty high DC to say, hey dog, why don't you be our friend while I murder yours?
Sure, yeah,
but if
that makes sense. I just
try it, you can.
Okay. No, that's alright. I just wanted to make sure. So then logistically, the second whatever blink dog is behind me still?
Yes. There's one behind you and there's one about 30 feet in front of Cass.
Yeah, I'm gonna take out my warhammer. And hit the dog.
Cool. Roll to see if you hit the dog.
I hate everything. 11.
11 does not hit.
No!
It's recharging its teleportability, so you can tell it can't blink out of the way, but it is a nimble little puppy and is able to just dash back and forth to not get hit as your weapon comes down on it. Cass, what would you like to do?
As I'm continue to walk towards the dog that is in front of us, I'm going to look back at Nori and be like, all right, so murdering a human, easy peasy. Dog, no can do though. Gotcha, understood. So I'm going to continue moving forward. How far is the dog from me that's in front? It's only 10 feet now, right?
30 feet.
30 feet? Okay, I'm gonna get within 10 feet of it.
Okay.
Then turn back. I'm assuming I have a line of sight on the dog behind us, correct?
Yes, yeah.
All
You
right.
can see it like dodging around Nori.
All right, then I'm going to turn back, look at Nori, aim for the dog next to her, and use Eldritch Blast on the dog behind.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me your attack.
15.
15 does hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
4.
Nice. Yeah, the dog lets out a little as it gets hit by this crackling beam of blue and green energy and just kind of takes it in a really sad way. You just hurt a dog. How sad. Anyway, the bandits are back up. So Mark is not doing good. Mark is going to try and hide. So let's see if he can make a stealth check to do that. Okay, so he retreats back behind the bridge. He is not doing good. He's going to try and move his way out. Carl is going to take his turn. He's up on the bridge now. He is going to advance 30 feet, so he's now 50 feet away from you and is going to again make an attack to try and hit you all. No. Doesn't matter. He rolled a 3. He's not hitting anyone. He goes, I'm gonna avenge my friend. I'm gonna hurt you. Oh, and the crossbow gets bolted up because instead of avenging, he just watches his puppy get hit. And he's sad. The dog's turn. The dog behind Nori, the blink dog, is going to try and bite you again, Nori. So, that is a 22 to hit.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, and that will do... It will do 5 damage to you.
Perfect.
The other dog is the one currently about 30 feet from your front party. It is going to run up, and it is going to try and bite. Cass does a 17 hit.
Yes.
Okay. So you will take 3 points of bite damage, of piercing damage.
All right. As the dog bites my arm, I'm gonna look at it and be like, "Who's the good boy?" And then I'm gonna cast Hellish Rebuke on it. So that would be
Wow.
That does 20 damage.
Cool. So you were making fun of Nori for killing a human. You just straight up, like, a dog bites you and you say, you know what, you don't get to live. Paint me a picture of what happens as you incinerate a dog.
So as it comes and bites my arm, I look at it, not really upset, but sort of with the understanding of, I gave you a chance. Like, you chose this. And it just pretty much evaporates from a beam of fire, let's say, straight forward, and just turns to dust in front of me.
Okay. Nice. That brings us around to Jeff. Jeff is on the bridge. Jeff was advancing. Jeff sees that this tide is not going his way, and Jeff is going to take an action to dash down away from you all and trying to go back towards, well, him back towards, but for you all on the same path towards Boats and Bounty. That brings us back around to Frog. Anything you'd like to do?
Frog's gonna use Magic Missile.
Okay.
To get the one dog by Nori.
Yep.
Mark, and then I guess chase after. Well, Jeff is still around, and Jeff.
Jeff's running. Carl.
Oh, sorry, Carl. Yes, then Carl.
Go ahead and roll damage. 1d4 plus 1.
All right, we got 4.
Okay, and who's that one towards?
The dog.
Okay.
This one's for Mark. 3.
Okay.
And then 3 for Carl.
Yep. Okay. Cool. You hear a splash as Mark's body falls into the water. You don't see him die because he was hiding, but you hear him splash into the water. So yeah, that was fun. And then the other two take their respective damage. Carl doesn't enjoy it. He kind of like shouts, but he's also more kind of realizing the same thought pattern that Jeff had about this is not like these people are not just little couriers that can't do anything. These people are coming and they're doing better than we thought because my dog and 2 of my friends are dead. You see that kind of going through his mind as it's happening. Nori, what's up?
Oh, lovely. Okay, so the dog is still behind me.
The dog is still behind you, correct?
Okay. I'm sorry, little one. It's your fate. Maybe. 12.
12 does not hit.
Gosh.
We're so close. 12 does not hit. Cass, what's up?
Okay. Just sort of shaking off my arm from the small bite from earlier. I see the one dude running towards the city. How far away is he?
110-ish feet.
Oh, I'm just gonna take a quick glance, look back at Nori, laugh that she missed the animal right in front of her again, and I'm just gonna turn and fire Eldritch Blast at the last guy running towards the city.
Yep. That 120-foot range coming in handy. Go for it. Roll that attack.
26. It's a crit.
It's a crit?
Yep.
Nice. Well, go ahead and roll damage.
Okay.
First crit. Woo!
Yeah, first crit. Hooray!
So
go ahead. Eldritch Blast is normally the 1d10, so go ahead and roll 2d10.
2d10, and I also have. I apologize. I meant to say this before. I have Eldritch Invocation, Agonizing Blast, which allows me to add my Charisma modifier to the damage as well. So that's going to get added on once. So it's 11 damage.
Paint me a picture as Team Take No Prisoners earns their name.
So as I turn from chuckling at Nori, I'm just going to point two fingers forward, aiming at the man running away. And as I do, you'll see one large beam of cackling bluish green energy shoot out and just go straight through his upper left side of his chest, just incapacitating. He's dead. He's gone.
Okay. Nice. Poor Carl. Carl's just got to watch all this. Next one up is Carl. Seeing this sheer display of violence and clearly understanding that if he tries to run, he's not going to outrun whatever you are. He is going to aim his crossbow at you once more, and higher than your armor class. So, let's see what he does. 4 points of piercing damage as he fires a crossbow at you, and then takes the rest of his speed to try and run 30. Yes, at you. Take his speed to run 30 feet, knowing it's futile, but living on a prayer. Frog.
Firebolt. Is he still within 120 feet?
He is. He was one that was moving closer.
Right. Okay. Let's see what we do here. Nat 1.
What does it look like as you try and firebolt and nothing good happens?
Frog extends her hands and then nothing happens. She looks at them and does it again, and then just kind of like shakes her head and puts her hands down.
Oh, poor dejected frog. Okay, Nori, what's up?
I am going to use my cantrip of Toll the Dead because this freaking dog is really bugging the gosh darn crap out of me. So I'm going to use Toll the Dead, which they have to succeed on a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving throw. I will let you know that this dog's wisdom is +1, and he rolled a 9. So that's a 10, which I believe is below your spell save DC.
Yes, it is 14.
Go ahead and roll me a d12 for damage.
If the target is missing any of its hit points, instead it takes a 1d12?
Yes.
Oh, that's what you said. Sorry.
It is, but I'm glad that you repeated it so that those at home can know.
I needed to know from my own brain. 11!
Cool. Tell me about it. What happens?
I am going to put my Warhammer away, and then look at it and look into its eyes and be like, I know we're from the same realm, but we don't believe in the same things. And I'm gonna stare at it really intensely, and my wings are gonna like flutter a little bit, and then some like dark black twilighty things are gonna pierce through it, and like electricity of light. And just gonna look at the dog and be like, fuck off.
So, the rest of you, we'll say that you're having this conversation in Sylvan because fairy magic and all, and because the spell says it sounds like a bell. So you just hear like the nice ringing of bells as like the fairy talk is happening, as Nori says, fuck off, and suddenly a dog just explodes. Cool. Cass, you're up. Carl's running away.
Just in utter shock that I've been outdone by this 2-foot fey creature after I brutally murdered the dog prior. I'm gonna turn my attention towards Carl. How far is Carl from where we are?
I don't remember my math exactly, but I believe he's he's sub 100.
Yeah, that sort of was my understanding as well. I'm going to run towards him and pretty much yell for him to stop.
Okay.
And as I'm doing that, if he does not stop, I'm going to cast... if he doesn't stop, I'm just going to cast Eldritch Blast on him again, similar to his friend, and try to strike him down in a similar fashion. Last question. Carl's been damaged, correct?
Carl has been damaged,
okay,
yes.
That's what I thought. And that will end my go.
Okay, so which one are you kind of hoping to achieve more? Getting him to stop or just saying goodbye, Carl?
I would like him to stop.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and roll either persuasion or intimidation. And I'll let you have advantage on this because it would make a lot of sense for him to stop. And let me know what you get.
Yeah, I'll do persuasion.
Okay.
That is 15.
Yeah. Carl turns around and goes, stop. What do you need from me? I was just hired for this and it's not worth me life. It's not worth the life of me friends. You don't kill me. I won't tell them anyone's coming. I won't look for the package. I will walk away and you'll never see Carl again. Carl will live a good life.
Can we, as other, like me and Fragina, perceive any of this, like, auditorily?
It's happening within a couple feet of you.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to, as I'm walking towards Carl, since he's now stopped, I'm going to turn towards Frog and Nori and just yell back to them like, hey, come on, get up here. And I'm gonna get up to Carl, or just get as close to Carl and just sort of start like interrogating him to a certain extent. Being main thing is like, who sent you, and like, what were you looking for us, or just for the first people that crossed the bridge?
Yeah. He'll kind of like respond like, no, I can't tell you who sent me, because if I say that, then they're gonna come and kill me. But I can let you know that we were told to look out for a group of traveling people that would be coming along the bridge. We were told that they were 3 in number. We were told that they would probably be at least a little bit armored. And you all fit the description, so we were kind of hoping that you had what we were looking for. And honestly, if not, the river flows out to the ocean. The bodies would have gone in and gone away, and anyone would be no more the wise.
I'm going to insight check him.
Do it.
Okay, give me one moment to do insight. Okay, thank you. 17.
Yeah, this man has no reason to be lying to you right now. You get the sense that he's coming from a place of truth. Like he's seen what you all are capable of. He has seen one of his friends try to run away, and Cass just like over the shoulder nonchalantly killed him without trying. He's got no reason to be trying to keep a front up with you all right now, and you feel that energy coming from him.
And then I'll look at Cass to kind of see if Cass is done talking with him real fast. And I'll interject and I will say, if you can't tell us who, can you tell us maybe where they're from?
I mean, I take it you are going to Bosun's Bounty. That's where they're from. That we are thieves. That's kind of the local thieves area. But I will stop being a thief, and I will not go back if you let me walk away with my life. I will, I don't have a lot of marketable skills, and I'm really only trained in this, and I'm not very good at it. But I will try. I will do something with my life if you let me go. I will be a better person, and I will find a better means of employment.
As he's saying this, I'm going to look back to the group and look at Frog specifically and be like, are you fine with this? With him being let go?
Frog is gonna look at him and open up her bag, and then she's gonna take out the cards that she took out of the pouch earlier and hand them to him and be like, learn some tricks. And then send him on his way.
Yeah, as Carl's leaving, I'm just gonna shout back at him and fire Eldritch Blast at his feet and be like, if we ever see you doing this again, like, you will end up like your friends.
Mm-hmm. I know you're not trying to hit him, but we have established you're not good at using your Eldritch Blast. Roll an attack roll. If you get a 5 or lower, you hit him.
Ugh.
Don't add your attack. This is just a straight luck check. Just roll a d20, beat a 5.
12.
I was gonna say,
Okay,
like,
cool.
I thought it was a 2 at first, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, so he goes, yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I will learn cards. I will learn it. I will do good. And then just sees it go, yes, I will go. Goodbye. And Carl just goes off, like dashing faster than you would expect. His speed might only be 30 per round. He is moving 45. Adrenaline does that to a person. He is going. And I think with that, we will end our first episode.
yay!
Thank you, everyone, for listening. And please join us next time as our heroes, I guess, continue on their quest to deliver their package to Miss Dolly O'Toole. Thank you all.
Hey everyone, Editing Sean here. I realized I forgot to tell you how you can get involved with the podcast. If you liked this episode and want to let us know, please feel free to rate it, review it, share it with your friends. If you want to get in contact with us, we have a Gmail, which is helpactionneeded@gmail.com, all one word, no spaces, as well as an Instagram account, helpactionneeded, over on Instagram, where you can follow the show and maybe see some things that we post if we ever get around to it. Goodbye.